I've been trying to, like, I don't know, wax lyrical about whether I can actually make some kind of spin on Ozpol that actually sounds podcasty.
Ozpole dancing?
Ozpol jockeys is about as far as I got. Because we're gay for news.
That is incorrect. Oh, well, that's infactual because I don't know what the fuck's going on these days. That's half the reason I'm like, how about politics? I would have to then look at the news and stuff.
And give a shit.
Yeah. I've been meaning to do that. Just, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's an Ozpol podcast, and I'm a guy that only keeps up with Australian news because it's the only thing I can really be allowed to read during my between calls at work, and you just don't give a shit, and I'm just subjecting you to it.
It's not that I don't give a shit. It's just that I don't, like, all the sources of information is like big network news, and I'm just like, well, I don't trust that. I'm one of them. A sensible person.
Yeah.
I know way too much about US politics just because the things I watch, which are generally entertaining, are also about the news and current events and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just pick up on all that. And I wish there was stuff like that for Australia, but I haven't found any. Then again, I haven't actually looked that hard.
So we're making one. So what we're going to do every week is we're going to take the 5 potentially biggest stories, or 5 kind of interesting...
Theoretically every week.
Theoretically. So 5 little bits of news that have happened. Mm-hmm. And basically talk about what happened, and then we discuss it, and probably get everything wrong.
Yes.
So
just like real newsmen.
Exactly. Except without professional editing and comb-overs and suits and...
Well, once we get paid, it's professional editing because I'm pretty good with as long as I don't have to make a lot of cuts and stuff, and I just have to put it on there and clean it and then just throw it on the internet. I can do that. That's great.
Done. Easy.
I'm amazing at that.
All right. So 5 of the biggest stories this week. So number 5 I have here is Peter Dutton, the immigration minister's comments on Lebanese Australians. Last Friday, Peter Dutton, Immigration Minister of Australia, said in Parliament that the reality is Malcolm Fraser did make mistakes in bringing some people in the 1970s, and we're seeing that today.
End quote.
Specifically in reference to Lebanese immigration that was allowed by the Fraser government about 40 years ago. So these comments have disappointed the Lebanese community of Australia, who feel like Dutton is trying to use them as a scapegoat for shortcomings made by the current administration. Notable persons speaking out include Billy Dibb, former IBF featherweight champion and former IBO super featherweight champion, and Bashara Taouk, who has received an Order of Australia for helping thousands of Lebanese flee the country during its brutal civil war period. Former Fraser Immigration Minister Ian McPhee has also weighed in on Dutton's statements, saying that, start quote, "We have had a succession of inadequate immigration ministers in recent years, but Dutton is setting the standards even lower." End quote. That is vicious shade by an old man.
That's the fire.
That's the burn.
Now look at the shade.
So basically what's happened is Peter Dutton is a government minister, so government ministers always love saying stupid shit in large forums on TV, but has basically said, well, Malcolm Fraser, former Prime Minister.
And we should, for the people who aren't Australian or just too young to know or care, we should probably establish which political parties and where they lean.
Oh, yeah, so
we go through.
So they're in the Liberal Party.
Which is
the
right-wing.
Conservative Party. Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Because it started as a Liberal Party in the early 20th century.
And then courted the Nationals But anyway, so...
The Country Party.
He's continuing his trend of saying dumb shit to try and make people think that immigration is this big scary monster.
Because my notes is just, okay, why? Like, why bring up this Lebanese immigration? Like, is it to, like...
There was a purpose behind it, because it's talking about the Homeland Security sort of stuff, like 22 of 33 people convicted on terrorism laws were from a Lebanese background. Mm-hmm. But the thing to consider is he's purposely singling out like the Lebanese immigrants that came through the Fraser government. These are like second generation, third generation. it's nothing to do with them being from Lebanon. It's for them being radicalized over here.
Which on a side note is a very... It seems like a weird phenomenon because it's happening all over the... all around the non-Middle Eastern countries that have taken in Middle Eastern immigrants. I don't know about other immigrants because no one's talking about that shit. But yeah, second and third generation Middle Eastern immigrants are becoming very fastly radicalized these days. They go through a very quick transformation.
It's because you look at the age of, like, from that era, there are people in teens, 20s, early 20s, late 20s. There are people that are more susceptible to outside influences, like people telling them things, and especially with the current climate in Australia today, racism's a bit of a thing. Not going to deny
Always
that.
has been, though.
And when you feel singled out like that, you tend to turn towards the voices that make you feel better about yourself, even if those voices are very much radicalized themselves.
Although I know in Europe, I don't know about the US or Australia, that they participate in higher rates in just general crime as well.
Okay.
Which, again, might just be feeling pressure, but I feel like that's starting to move into cop-out territory. Because you're still doing a shitty thing.
Yeah. I mean, you do a shitty thing regardless of what your cultural background is or not. It's still a shitty thing. But I think for him to single out just the immigration that the Fraser government did, I think that's... I mean, yeah, I get that he was trying to do a cause and effect thing, but it has nothing to do with it entirely. Considering
no one really gives a shit about, generally speaking, the Lebanese community in Australia, as a comparison, it's very bad because no one cares for the most part.
It's a tiny community.
Yeah.
But I know... I mean, I'm not a member of the Lebanese community. I do work with someone who's Lebanese. She's an absolutely lovely individual.
And I've watched a lot of Fat Pizza. Which, I'd just like to say for the record, is actually titled Pizza, but no one remembers that.
Really?
Like Monkey Magic was just monkey. And you can't
people call it Monkey Magic.
You can't just say monkey, and you can't just say pizza.
What the hell you're on about. Yeah.
I'm going to go watch Pizza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cool story, bro.
Yeah, cool background. But anyway, I think Dutton's just got a major case of, political foot and mouth. He says things that...
Australian politicians are exceptionally good at that.
Just being shitheads?
Just saying like really obviously dumb shit that's just off the top of their head. Like, the stupid shit American politicians say usually seems very calculated.
Yeah, I know. I think Australian politicians just need to keep it kayfabe.
Yeah.
They need to stick to the script. Don't break character.
They just don't. I mean, it worked for Mark Latham that one time.
Yeah, but he's a fucking dickhead every other time.
He is, but then again, he kind of stands up for himself. People have been dropping shit on him, and they're like, oh, they give him shit for like him exposing like the actual numbers in like domestic abuse cases between male and female, and it's like, aren't you being sexist? Blah blah blah. And he's like, no, these are the actual numbers, you idiot. Women are just as terrible as men.
Yeah, every other time that dude's opened his mouth is
he'll never. Despite being right, he still comes off as a complete prick when saying it. That's his problem. But yeah, he'll never live up to John Howard is an arse licker. You don't remember that?
No, I was a bit too young for that.
God, that's what made him famous.
You're half a decade older than me, so you've got the advantage of remembering shit like that. Anyway, moving on.
4 years and like
we're breaking topic. On to the next point. Number 4, Dreamworld Safety Audit Improvement notice is given, but Park is essentially given the all clear. So in a statement acknowledging the breaches, Dreamworld said that none related to the safety of visitors, and all the inspectors' concerns would be addressed before the park reopened to the public. End quote. It's just from ABC News.
ABC News.
So an audit followed the very unfortunately grim events of October, which did see 4 adults, Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorset, Roosbear Aragi, and Cindy Lowe, sustain injuries described by paramedics as incompatible with life on the Thunder River Rapids ride, a favourite which has been for over 2 decades. So this is following the news earlier in the month that the ride will be decommissioned and closed permanently, and the audits made recommendations of additional log booking for chemicals used in whitewater world attractions, as well as additional safety measures for maintenance crews on additional rides like the Buzzsaw, which has been closed a few times in the past. So none of these relate to any danger posed by any people actually on the rides, just for maintenance and to say, oh, you should probably put how much chlorine you put in the pools, mate.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fantastic, especially because I was sick of the absolute shit show that it was after this shit happened, and you had former employee speaks up and says, these rides are dangerous. This legal representative says, yes, these people should place charges, even though they're not an expert on this and just an ambulance chaser. So I think that's fantastic.
So the Thunder River Rapid Rides is that's the one where it's a big circle.
Yeah.
There's about like 6 or 8 people on it, and they're all kind of
6 people in the circular raft.
And they face each other.
Yeah,
and it just goes down some artificial river that's full of rapids, and it's pretty fun. I've never actually been on it, nor now will I ever.
Oh, geez, I loved that as a kid, mate. That was well, even as an adult, I still loved going on that one.
Well, rapids are just fun in general. I've been in rapids, kayaking, canoeing. Yeah. But it's kind of funny. It's like my mom's not big thrill seeker, and when it comes to rides and stuff, she's like, that was like the only ride I considered going on because it just looked kind of nice and pleasant. And yeah, so they were on this basically a giant donut,
raft sort of
raft,
thing,
and it flipped, didn't it?
Yeah, as it was going up the conveyor belt at the end.
Oh,
it flipped, like the one in front of it stopped for some reason. Like
it got jammed somehow, yeah.
That one hit and it flipped them backwards.
Ooh.
And there was 6 people on it. There was the 4 adults previously mentioned and 2 kids. The 2 kids were flipped clear.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 adults were caught.
Their head was above the
conveyor.
Yeah.
For those who do not recall
seats.
what injuries incompatible with life is, there was a bit of a row on this after paramedics described that being the condition of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
People were going, that's a bit insensitive language, even though it's straight from the paramedic guidebook. Mm-hmm. What incompatible with life essentially means is either your head has been crushed in, or you have been severed from the waist down.
We don't mean paraplegic, we mean severed.
As in cleaved in twain, sort of thing. Like,
yeah, because I mean, you can survive that for a short amount of time. Theoretically, I'm sure it doesn't happen often, but you know, you keep
shock, blood loss.
You keep the majority of your organs in there, so you're still kind of alive.
Yeah,
just everything's shutting down.
So yeah, I can totally understand them closing the ride.
Grim.
I can totally understand them closing it. You would not find anyone wanting to go on that ride again. No. People might be fine with how safe it is. If things are being fixed, that's fine. But just now, this stigma associated with that.
And not only that, is if they tried to fix it and reopen it and show people, no one would believe them, and they would probably believe them less and probably be less likely to go to there.
I think, I'd imagine it's probably going to be, the whole thing's going to be torn down, turned into like a memorial sort of section. That's
there'd be a chunk of it for that.
That's the most tasteful thing that I can imagine.
That said, it's an amusement park. I don't know if you necessarily want to keep a memorial in the middle of it.
Yeah, you know where it's situated, don't you? Because it's like between 3 other things. So yeah, I mean, there'd have to be something like a wall or a park or
a garden.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, garden could do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So additional safety measures for crews on like the Buzzsaw.
Mm-hmm.
The Buzzsaw. Pretty much every time I've been to Dreamworld, it's either been closed for the day or they had to close it during the day. I'm not sure if it's just timing. There was one time where it got stuck, and I think there were people stuck on it. But
is the Buzzsaw that one at the front?
Yeah, that you can see that goes.
It's really
around.
It's really tight, and but it's a lot of upside down and
it's basically the whole thing is
twisting.
Upside down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like things like harnesses for them for crews to better get up to things like that. So that's pretty good, I guess. But no, it's good that all those naysayers have been shut up saying park's gonna gonna break it's a surprise. No one's died before now. Like, fuck off.
Statistically, I think everyone knows it's more dangerous driving to a theme park than to an amusement park, I should say.
Especially considering people do the whole, what if a screw falls out of a roller coaster? It's like roller coaster design so that it keeps working if a screw falls out. It's what's called a redundant system.
It's called G-force. It keeps it stuck to the...
Yeah. All right. Next point. Okay, so a legal surrogacy clinic run by...
I just want to start saying this one takes place in Cambodia, and I'm just gonna, in case Matt listens, I'm gonna keep my fucking mouth shut as much as possible because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Neither do I, but it involves an Australian woman.
Mm-hmm.
So a legal surrogacy clinic run by an Australian woman in Cambodia is busted. Tammy Davis-Charles, director of the clinic, was arrested. That's
just a suspicious name.
Was arrested last weekend by the anti-human trafficking police. This follows the Cambodian government banning human surrogacy last month and a 10-month tracking operation on Davis-Charles. Previously, she'd come from neighboring Thailand into Cambodia, so that's why they were keeping tabs on her. However, as of yesterday, at the time of recording, the Cambodian government has offered limited amnesty to Australian couples, as many as 40, who have already begun the surrogacy process through Davis-Charles's clinic, and to uphold the financial commitments to the surrogate mothers. I can guarantee they will be safe if they take the responsibility for those children, is quoted by Chul Bong Eng, Vice Chairwoman of the National Committee for Counter-Trafficking. So this falls into the thing of rich white people going over into poor countries and exploiting poor women so they can have children.
Maybe. It's likely, but like I said, I'm just like, hey, Matt, what do you know about this? Because, God, Southeast Asia is fucking weird. Every time something seems like something, it's the exact opposite. Like,
it's, yeah.
This could be someone, I don't know how you spin that, but maybe they're like orphan children. They're just kids who want to be, their parents can't, handle them. They want to
you know what surrogacy is, right? Where they implant the embryos into someone so they give birth. So it's not, they're not taking Cambodian children, but they're being born of a Cambodian mother. But the law pretty much around the whole world is still so sketchy about surrogacy.
Yeah, it was actually now I recall it was a big thing in India as well.
Mm-hmm.
Only it's way less clamped down.
Yeah,
a lot of poor women, and they get fucked hard. Poor choice of words, but yeah, like they're in these weird. They're into these like really harsh contracts, and like 8 months in, they're like, "No, we're just gonna change it. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah,
it's 8 months, baby's coming. Fuck you.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of reading about that, and it's like 12 grand. It's 12 grand they paid Davis-Charles to have a surrogate mother. We don't know how much of that she actually gave to the surrogate mothers herself. So
probably not that much.
Even though like statements from Tammy are stuff like, I was giving these women like a life and earning power and stuff like that. It's like, well,
isn't that what every shitty sweatshop owner says?
Yeah, exactly. It just comes off more as like the imperialism sort of thing than it does the actual benevolent employer or care worker. Anyway, that's a tricky issue. Surrogacy has had a bit of a spotlight in the past few years just because of how little it is legislated, and places just prefer to outright make it illegal rather than bother legislating it because it falls into multiple rights things.
And then it creates a black market.
Yeah, like who owns the child? Like whose baby is this sort of thing?
I mean, you can do that, here. You get a friend of the family or someone you don't even know, but there's basically contracts and it's not illegal, and you can do it. It's very popular amongst the gays. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah. They get a friend and to have the child of their mutual seed. But
yeah, it's a thing. Yeah. Very complicated thing. I think we'll be seeing more of this one in the future. Just because this was like a 10-month sting by the Cambodian government before they even made surrogacy illegal.
I think it would have been an 8-month sting, but anyway.
All right.
That's what I'm here for. What am I going to? You're just going to read off a list and I'll just go,
Oh, no. Number one, we're going to be able to have a great back and forth.
I don't know, man. That's on its own. That's good. That's how it is.
All right. Number two, opposition calls for Attorney-General George Brandis to resign following revelations of his interference in a High Court case by the Western Australian government. So, reported by the West Australian, again, this is just a report, nothing concrete at this stage, all speculation. But George Brandis is a shithead. And then WA attempted to pass legislation allowing it to dictate what to do with the funds from the collapse of the Bell Group in the 90s, which would have allowed it to claw back nearly $1.8 billion in lost funds. The deal, however, was stopped by former Solicitor General Justin Gleeson, who wrote a submission to the High Court to have the legislation scuttled, as the ATO was attempting to claw back $300 million in debts owed by the Bell Group. So Brandis has been accused of putting the wants of the Western Australian Liberals over his duty towards the Commonwealth, and Shadow Attorney General Mark Dreyfus and opposition leader Bill Shorten, the dude who doesn't know how to shut up, have been called for Brandis to step down in another revelation in the row between the Attorney General and the former Solicitor General, following Gleeson stepping down earlier this year after a scathing resignation taking fire at Brandis.
Okay, so once again, the Liberals are the Conservative Party, to which the Attorney General is obviously a part of. For those not familiar with the parliamentary system,
who the opposition would have picked
the
for the
second
job.
largest party.
Yeah.
They're equal.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Less power, but he's there to counteract those who are in power,
to be the authority on that point, just from the opposition point of view, exactly. So basically what's happened is High Court case Bell Group, it was the collapse of this massive fund from this old billionaire. Can't remember his name. I mean, I probably should. I looked into this one a bit for the past couple of days just because it's really complicated. And Western Australian Liberal government wanted to claw $1.8 billion in funds from them, just because if anyone has looked into it, Western Australian Liberals haven't been doing too good recently. Western Australia is experiencing probably one of the worst economies it's ever experienced.
That's because they relied entirely on mining.
Yeah,
and then that went away.
What happens when a boom stops booming? Yeah.
It's called a bubble.
So they're kind of desperate for funds, and the Attorney General is responsible for the direction and seeking of High Court cases. And this was taken to the High Court, and the Attorney General was just going to let it slip that the Western Australian Liberal government was going to be able to siphon away the $1.8 billion that it wanted from the collapse of the group, rather than pursuing the Commonwealth's interests.
His political party.
The Commonwealth's interests, so the interests of the country, the ATO, a neutral organisation, a body, an arm for the government.
The tax office.
To recover $300 million in lost taxes.
So yeah, that's the ATO is the Australian tax office. Exactly. So just that explains itself.
Yeah. So what he's under fire for, and this is the thing, Gleeson stepped down like last month, and he said that the relationship between him and Brandis had been irrevocably damaged. I recall.
So what is the relationship between Attorney General and Solicitor General?
The Attorney General directs the High Court. The Solicitor General is the primary legal advisory body for Australia.
All right.
So he's able to basically pursue things independently. It's very complicated. Our system doesn't make too much sense. Thank you, Westminster. But it's another step in the row between them. Gleeson stepped down last month, I recall, because Brandis was passed legislation temporarily forbidding the Solicitor General to give legal advice to anyone except those in the federal government. So only the Liberal Party he would have been allowed to give legal advice to. When he's the Solicitor General, he acts on behalf of Australia. He is not a member of either party.
Feels like that would be somewhere in the Constitution somewhere.
Yeah, the High Court kicked it out because it was unconstitutional. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he stepped down because he didn't want to be a party to
I was
George
going to say,
Brandis.
I don't often get the stepping down thing because it's like, well, I'm going to take myself out of any position of power just to show you. You do it if you do something wrong.
Yeah, it's giving the Labour government ammo. Yeah, that's what it's doing. I think that's what it's basically looking to do. I mean, it's not like they need much, but neither party needs much ammo on the other.
They need to be able to hit their targets.
Yeah, very true. Oh, I know. Both parties are kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, our Labour Party is. I'm sure our friend George would believe that they're radically left wing, but they're kind of useless, moderate left wings.
Yeah,
they're soft left. Not barely even that.
Yeah, that's so middle of the pack. Whereas at the same time, you see that our liberal party
Capital
has been
L.
pulled more towards the right just because of the presence of the Nationals.
You mean like the exact same thing that's happened in the United States and in Europe?
No way.
And also in the UK, because I guess technically you don't want to be Europe. Never did.
Fuck. All right. Number one. This is my favorite one.
Clearly, that's why it's number one.
Great.
He wrote it all. Ooh, I'm gonna be funny.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of funny.
Yeah, sometimes.
So, Pauline Hanson tries to prove climate.
All right, Pauline Hanson. Let's just stop there and briefly explain to anyone not Australian or again not paying attention.
Redhead, former fish and chip shop owner,
became right-wing nationalist party leader. Called One Nation. Go figure for a name. Had some issues with the indigenous people, but mostly her old... Because the 90s has to come back. Everything in the 90s has to come back these days.
Yep.
She was in the 90s saying that all these
Asians. Specifically Asians.
Yes. Very specific Asians.
Just
the
Asians.
Phrase Asians. Were migrating too much in Australia and it's going to ruin everything.
Swamped by Asians were her literal words.
They're bringing their swamps with them. And look how that's turned out. Pretty all right. Go to Sunnybank, get some like really good food.
Oh, Sunnybank's fucking great.
The variety.
It's just so much.
I once told that when the Asian community likes to move into Sunnybank Hills and places like that because having Sunny in the name is very good luck.
Okay.
That's what I've been told. Could be bullshit.
Well,
but it sounds...
hasn't done us harm. We got great food. I got a fiance. It's all good.
But yeah, she is... Oh, who could we liken her to quickly?
Oh, fuck.
Well,
Nigel Farage.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
He at least has the air of intelligence to some people.
Yeah, he's not a gentleman, but he's more gentlemanly than I would say Pauline Hanson is.
She is redneck.
Yeah.
Redneck as fuck.
Rural Queensland. Again, redhead, former fish and chip shop owner, cum senator.
Mm-hmm. Right, and she will be our prime minister soon if the left wing doesn't pull their head out their asses like everywhere else in the world. President Trump, Prime Minister Pauline.
Kill me now. So, Pauline Hanson tries to prove that climate change hasn't affected the Great Barrier Reef by visiting a section 1,000 kilometers south of where climate change has bleached the Great Barrier Reef. Quote, "We can't have these lies put across by people with their own agendas," end quote, she said, lying to put across her own agenda. So, this one really speaks for itself. She has notorious climate change denier Malcolm Roberts in her party, who has gone on to question CSIRO representatives and even NASA themselves, saying that your data doesn't show that the Earth is warming, and every time they've shown no, it does, pull your fingers out of your ears, you dumbass, and actually look at what you're saying.
What is his stance on the Earth's roundness, by the way? Just while we're at it.
I'd actually love to talk to him about that.
Well, I don't know about talk to him.
I'd love to
tweet him.
Well,
no, he probably doesn't have Twitter.
Just
AOL
throw a brick
email
through
him
his window
with a note
saying,
on
what
it.
shape is the planet?
Is it a disc or is it a sphere?
How many elephants are carrying it? Is there a turtle under those elephants?
I could live with both of those options.
These are the
I just don't think they're
mysteries
true.
you need to solve.
The CSIRO, what does the actual acronym stand for?
Now, the dudes that invented Wi-Fi.
Yes, you're welcome, rest of the world.
Yeah, so fucking take that, planet.
No, I got nothing.
I cannot recall. Look it up on your phone while I have a rant for a bit. But basically she's trying to show, tourism can be well and alive. You just gotta visit the Great Barrier Reef rather than seeing what's wrong. But really what she's doing is she's going 1,000 kilometers south of where 22% of the reef has bleached in the past year and is saying everything's fine. That is sticking your head in the sand. If you want tourism to get better, you need to focus on making it better. You need to focus on fixing the reef, preventing the bleaching, rather than just going somewhere else where it hasn't hit yet. Yeah, sure. Tsunami on the coastline. You move inland, it's not there, but it will probably reach you at some point. You just need to realize it and take steps to prevent that from happening or to lessen the damage from occurring. This is just more posturing from a party that has nothing but racism. That's all. Yeah, exactly.
But you need to branch out on your stances because not everyone is feeling the xenophobia. Oh, how about climate denial?
Bam, sold. Gets all those people that I don't give a shit about climate change.
It's gonna take my job, my fishing job.
Take my job, but Again, this is Pauline Hanson, who in the 90s said we were being swamped by Asians, and now in her first speech to Parliament, again, has made that same speech pretty much, but just replaced Asians with Muslims. The new scapegoat for everything that's wrong in Australia.
To be fair, Islam can go fuck itself. But Middle Eastern people, they're fine. They're for the most part, they're all just regular people. The rural ones are backwards and religious, and the metropolitan ones are metropolitan. They're urban. They buy designer brands, and they have
just religion shit. Stop it with your sky people bullshit. Yeah. Come on, guys. I thought we were better than this.
Fuck you, sky kick.
Sky but so. This is just fantastic. She's got a video and everything of her on the One Nation page snorkeling through the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look how beautiful this is. And she picks up coral, which you're not allowed to fucking do in the Great Barrier Reef. And she's actually got a fucking... it's not a full-on marine biologist, but a marine scientist with her. I'm sure that's actually some fucking title given by some shitty internet university. But I don't think anyone who actually knows anything about what's going on can see this as legitimate. This is a facade through someone trying to gain relevancy. Though admittedly, Pauline Hanson is good at marketing herself.
Well, that's why she did Dancing with the Stars. Which I decided I wanted to bring up, because after half a decade of being a piece of shit, she just disappeared into obscurity. The One Nation Party lived without her, didn't thrive at all.
Yep.
Didn't go away completely.
It was in the process of collapsing in on itself.
And then a decade later, she's on Dancing with the Stars, and everyone stops hating her completely.
She's a lovely individual.
I don't watch crap like that. And I try to avoid anyone even who's talking about it. But she was definitely less reviled than she once was, and she's like, oh, this is a good time for a political comeback. I'm going to make all the same mistakes that I did previously. Except
with more social media presence now, because old people use social media a lot, and they're fucking digging it. You go through Pauline Hanson's One Nation or whatever, her Facebook page, she's got videos where she talks about the problem with Australia is people think climate change is real. The problem with Australia is people that aren't Australian. And just all these things, and all the comments are love you, Pauline, finally someone that says it how it is, shoots from the hip, blah, 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 tired anecdote, this fucking useless metaphor that.
Because, she's trying to appeal to the working class who just want change, or they want something to blame. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
You give them a better life, or give them something to blame. And you'll win elections.
The easiest thing is to give them something to blame.
Well, yeah, it's way easier.
Yeah, rather than actually try and fix what's wrong. Like, fucking who does that
It's
in
not
politics
that.
anymore? That's the thing. Politics here has now become this thing where it's like, well, we can only expect our fucking 4-year term. We may as well not actually push through any major change that would take more than that. Which is
No, it's a
bullcrap.
long game. We don't have term limits. You can actually play a long game here.
Yeah, fucking John Howard played a long fucking game.
12 years.
12 years of fucking bushy eyebrows.
This is where the podcast ends and we just start rambling.
It's great. You should listen. Give us some ad revenue. Not all of us have parliamentary pensions.
That was all that went wrong.
No, it wasn't things like, GST and...
Genius. His gun control thing was a thing.
Yeah, that was good.
Gun controls, yeah, it's weird. It didn't change crime statistics at all. Suicide, like for example, suicide rates with firearms completely plummeted, but suicide rates themselves stayed exactly the same.
I guess people are just more motivated here.
Everything everything stayed on the same trajectory over like a 10-year period. There was no major significant changes, with the one exception of mass shootings. They stopped completely.
Admittedly, mass shootings aren't a bad thing to stop.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, it did what it was supposed to, because the entire thing was really, based because of the Port Arthur massacre. Still, the record for the most amount of people killed in a mass shooting.
Really?
Fuck yeah, yeah.
Huh.
We might have lost to the US recently. I can't remember, but yeah, we held that record for a good while. That dude just went fucking nuts.
Oh, Martin Bryant.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And we held that record, which is pretty impressive considering we still didn't have those kinds of weapons that the US had at the time.
No.
Barely anything changed.
No.
Handguns got tighter because you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not allowed to have firearms as for self-defense.
No.
It's sports and hunting.
Sports and hunting only if you've got a certain amount of land to do it. Because it's just for rural people, I believe. Predominantly.
I don't know. Like, I know shotguns are slightly more restricted to rural areas and farmland, because that's actually protecting livestock. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Rifles and hunting, air quotes. I don't know. I'm not as sure, but yeah, I know handguns are much harder. Yeah. Civilians cannot have anything over. It's 30-something caliber. Could be 38, but that seems pretty high. That's still pretty potent.
No, just to link that back more into Australian politics as well, there's actually kind of like a bit of internal strife in the Liberal Party over gun control laws. Because you've got all the hard right wing, the Nationals, that want to like ease up some of the restrictions now. Mm-hmm. But then you've got people like Tony Abbott who want to keep Howard's gun laws.
It doesn't surprise me.
But at the same time, like fucking Tony Abbott being on a side of an argument that I agree with.
He's a Howard disciple, and he's also an urbanite. He doesn't give a shit about country people.
I find it hard to believe that man's a Rhodes Scholar,
I know.
It just throws me.
I don't get it. See, I look at Bob Hawke, I'm like, yeah, okay. I see it.
Okay.
I don't know if he still has the record, but he once held the record for the fastest pint drunk.
No, I
at
think
Oxford.
He does. What a legend.
Oh yeah.
These are the kind of people that we elect to our highest office.
Well, he actually is intelligent, and he shows it. Whether you agree with everything, he did, because he's fucking those 80s, 90s left wing, air quotes, politicians that all move towards the middle and the upper class. Paul Keating.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Keating the musical?
No.
Oh, I've wanted to. That would have been
great. Well, we'll plan that in the future. Yeah, if it ever comes back, all right, we'll go see it.
Yeah, why not? It'd be great. One of our great stories.
Yeah.
Got a lot of
He
great
got one term, didn't he?
Hawke?
Paul Keating.
No, Keating
Hawke got a
Keating
handful.
There was the spill
for
Hawke, and Keating took it.
And he didn't last that long.
No, he didn't last that long.
They were a good team.
That's a bit of a trend we actually get with our Labour Prime Ministers. They don't last really long at all.
Yes, because those outside of Australia and the Westminster system, we don't elect. I mean, really, we do elect the people in spirit. We elect a personality, but technically, you elect the party. Yeah, and the party elects their leader. Yeah, and that's how it works. So you can elect a prime minister, and in the middle of their term, the party goes, "No, we don't like what you're doing for the party." Blah blah blah, whatever. And they elect a new leader, and we got a new prime minister.
It's happened too many times.
Way too many times in the last decade and a half. Yeah. Although the last one was the funniest. Yeah. Because Malcolm Turnbull, the current prime minister, fucked the previous prime minister out of his ministerial retirement package by about a month. Yeah. You have to have like a cumulative 2 years or something as prime minister to get it. And it's a pretty sweet deal. It's a massive pension. You get it right away. You get fucking free air travel wherever you go in Australia and some international flights, secretaries and all sorts of bullshit. And yeah, he fucked him out of it by a month. Like a month or two, yeah.
It's hilarious. Because we had Rod Gillard and then...
Rod, did he come back?
Yeah, there was the spill, and then Rod was back like right at the end of the election cycle. I think because Labour knew that was fucking nothing.
It's like, you idiots, you should have just kept him.
So then Abbott got in, and then there was the spill for Abbott into Turnbull. And so we'll see what comes of that, because apparently Turnbull's not the...
Turnbull hasn't done shit. He's... a lot of people want to give him the excuse that he's still fighting the party inside, and it's just like...
Yeah, no, but you're supposed to be the leader of the party. Don't give a shit.
I don't care. It's the same old shit.
If you can't lead the party, you can't lead the country. Mm-hmm. Fair point. I loved how he came out against ABC earlier in the month, saying, it was the elite media for, rich people that try and run the country. Mm-hmm. Coming from a rich person that literally runs the country was a bit too ironic.
A little bit. Who did he work for? Somewhere in the Cayman Islands, a bank or some shit.
Yeah, he had one of those holding things.
Mr. Millionaire. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's the regular guy. He catches the train to work. Fuck off.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
It's just he wants to avoid the traffic.
Like former high-end solicitor. It's like worth what's his net worth? Like 200 and something million?
Is it that much?
He's worth a lot.
Yeah, I know he's worth a lot. I didn't realize he was.
Because he was a solicitor for like fucking mining and oil companies before going into office.
Yeah, he's a slimy piece of shit.
Yeah. Thanks, politics.
Yeah.
Man, can't wait for what news we're going to have next week.
Speaking of prime ministerial ministers' retirement packages, they're bullshit.
Yeah, they're really bullshit.
Several months ago, I only just found out about it. Stephen Conroy, the so-called left-wing communications minister, who's like a staunch Catholic and wanted to ban pornography from Australian internet.
Thanks, Theresa May.
An opt-out system. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck you. Yeah. We're adults. If you want to protect the kids, fucking be a parent. Yeah. Get a program that there's shit out there you can use.
Yeah, fucking browsers come with shit like that now. Like,
fuck off.
But anyway,
he ran for re-election, got re-elected, and then retired 2 months later once he qualified for the parliamentary.
You got to be doing 10 years for that or something, don't you?
I don't even think it's that long. It probably depends on package.
That's why Wyatt Roy gets his fucking package.
Because this is something I actually wanted to look up and talk about at some point. I just didn't get to do it this week. But yeah, no. It's like $200,000 a year pension? Fuck off. Fucking Joe Hockey, former Liberal minister.
He's now ambassador to the US, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what we want to kind of put out there in the world.
Fat cigar Joe.
Big fat retard. He's such a bully when he's talking to people smaller than him. I can't imagine he'd talk mad shit of like someone his own size.
Yeah.
right up in front of his face.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, he talks mad shit, but yeah, he's full of it. But yeah, he's since he's still working, but he's collecting his parliamentary pension.
And he's getting his diplomatic pay, and he gets travel allowance, and he gets stay allowance for him and his other half. And
yeah, this whole parliamentary pension that you get before retirement age is bullshit.
But Sean, haven't you heard? The age of entitlement is over.
Yeah, unless you're a politician.
Yeah, unless you're a politician, then you can have it all.
You can have everything you ever want. You can just
so bullshit.
You can pretend like you're working for other people.
How many millions of dollars do you waste keeping old fucking has-beens? Fucking large salary packages?
If I was running, it would be like, nope, you get it when you retire. That's your pension. Oh, what's that? Now you want to lower the retirement age back to where it used to be. Oh, okay. Because it keeps going up.
Yeah. What is it, 70 now? 75?
It's not quite that high, but it's going to be.
This is bullshit because, if you're doing a job like, say, you're a politician, then, of course you're going to be healthy enough to sit on your ass every fucking day and talk. But if you're doing something like if you're doing a trade or you're working in a store, those things take a physical toll on you. You can't keep doing those till you're like a septuagenarian. It's just not something you can do.
It's horseshit.
It's absolute crap.
And it's coming from people who retire after 10 years with a bullshit salary.
It's coming from people who are former fucking union officers or solicitors who've never actually had to do physical work.
Free university education.
Oh yeah, and then just decide to take that away from us. I love how there's footage of Joe Hockey saying no, they can't take free education away from people. Him as like a fucking union fucking rep for fucking unis.
And he was a massive part of taking away from people.
But the age of entitlement is over. And that's what's important. Because it's the lifters and the leaners in this country, mate. And there's all the people who are rich who are doing the hard work. They deserve their negative gearing. You know? They earned it.
They earned writing off their interest, their fucking loan interest off of their tax, which is fucking spastic.
Shit. Yeah. And, you know, they earned their rich parents being able to step in and pay the deposit for their home.
Yeah. They earn their parliamentary pensions while they're still working at the age of 50.
Fuck, I hate politicians.
Oh, yeah. Let's just run.
Yeah, why not?
Let's put your name in a hat.
Vote for us.
Yes, vote for us.
That can be the name.
May as well vote for us.
Yep.
I'll think of something. I don't know.
Anyway.
Enjoy the ramble.